following podcast contains spoilers and adult language, a precocious youngster, a single bullet for a later suicide, a drunk Strand, a video that there is no way that Al left behind, unexplained return of Josiah, pretty cool t-shirt that Collins is wearing.
Whoa, wait. Did you say an unexplained return of Josiah?
Yeah, Steve. Yeah, I did.
Okay, first of all, who's Josiah? And second of all, are we even supposed to remember him?
I really just don't know anymore.
Just think. Only one more left.
So close and so far away.
This is a message from the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Due to the recent crisis, we ask that you remain in your homes. Do not attempt to communicate or interact with the creatures, even if they are people you know.
Lock your doors. Bar your windows. The dead are coming. It's time for Aim for the Head, an all Walking Dead universe podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Diana and Steve.
Hi, and welcome back to Aim for the Head podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm ready to kill myself.
And this is podcast episode number 260. And this week, we're going to be discussing Fear the Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 15, title of the episode, Amina. Quick thoughts on the episode. What do you got?
Oh, boy. Where do I begin? I mean, this possibly is the greatest episode of this entire show. I'm sorry, I couldn't say it. I couldn't get it out without laughing. I couldn't. I think at least the one thing you can say about the Knuckleheads is that they continually find ways to surpass their previous lows of television. And, this show, really, there was the one episode of this show this season, this half season, I should say, that we kind of liked a little. And I want to say it was the Daniel episode.
Yeah,
maybe.
Ophelia, I think, was the only one that was...
moderately. It was bad, but we were like, there were some good things in it. But other than that, this show just every week, it's like just getting like punched in the face repeatedly, right? It is just so bad. There's so I found one thing that I liked about this show, and you found it too. And again, it is a total production thing. It has nothing to do with the writing. It has nothing to do with the dialogue. I thought that the acting this week, I really felt that the actors were like, we're done, and they just there was a couple of going through the motions moments there that I was like, yeah, I don't blame you guys, and And literally, like, when I watch the show now, all I feel is sorry for the actors. Like, I feel bad for them that they have to do this. And it's almost like I'm embarrassed for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're watching somebody and they're like, just clearly just having the worst time, and empathetically you're like, oh man, that's terrible. I really feel bad for you. I'm sorry for you, but there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, that's it's just, yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore, people. I don't. We're watching the show because we kind of, and I want to say we have to, because we don't, but we want to do the podcast. We want to cover the Walking Dead stuff, so we're going to watch it. But if that weren't the case, I would not be watching this show.
Yeah.
How about you? What'd you think?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
Episode bad, fire good?
Episode bad. Nuclear Holocaust bad.
Oh.
Acting bad.
Yeah,
Writing bad. Alicia's makeup and hair, final scene as she walks away. Good.
She looked. My
really
wife
pretty.
looked pretty damn good, didn't she? Yeah, she did.
That's it. That's all I got. This episode was just. I mean, we were talking about this before we started recording. Just when we think the show has hit a new low, we're like, that's it. This is the worst we've ever seen. Then somehow the two knuckleheads come out with a shovel, and they somehow they get rid of what the lowest low is, and then they sink even further. They
do. It's like they read the reviews that are posted online about, this is the worst ever, and literally their comment to the reviewers are, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm right there with you. And again, I think, the listeners that we have, I think for the most part, we're right there with you.
Yeah, I don't get it. But we're here to talk about all of those things that we don't get. So we're going to go ahead and do that for you, folks. Before we get into talking about the details of the actual episode, let's remind ourselves what small sentences AMC has given us to let us know what the episode is going to be about. So, Steve, why don't you go ahead and give us the episode description, please?
All right. Well, this episode, as we said, is not very good, and this episode's descriptions being brought to you is also not very good. So I think it's appropriate. But I apologize. I really tried to think of something funny, and, people, I got nothing. I really do. But here we go. This week's episode description is being brought to you by Alycia Clark's Bullet Necklaces. They're fancy and functional. Never get stuck in the wasteland without any ammo ever again. That's Alycia Clark's Bullet Necklaces, available exclusively at Strand's Tower in the Delaware, Texas Fallout Zone. All right, so that's it. So, moving on to the description itself, it is again for episode 715. The title is Amina. Mm-hmm. And the description is, as the survivors prepare to escape the area by raft, finally... Alycia turns back to save one more person trapped in the fallout. And that's your episode description.
That's it? I love how they keep it vague, because what they really want is for you to think that it's Madison, even though we know it's not Madison.
Mm-hmm.
And even though later on they're like, Strand, your friend is Strand. I'm like, of course it's Strand. He's the only one on the tower. Who else would it be?
I know.
Yeah, it's just the ridiculousness. So let's get into details. First of all, let's talk, who's to blame. Mm-hmm. And so let's discuss a little bit about writer and director.
All right. Well, this segment, as we all know, is actually called Who's Responsible for This? And this week we get our writers, and hey, remember what I said last week, that I thought for sure that one of these two episodes, if not both, would probably be written by the two knuckleheads? Remember that?
Here we go.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, guess what, people? This week's episode, the Knuckleheads!
Yay!
Oh, yes. Ian and Andrew Knucklehead. I am not going to dignify them and give them any credit for any of their quote-unquote writing and listing it. I think we all know what they've done. I think we all know what they're responsible for. And so this mess is entirely theirs. And what's most disturbing, though, is that the director of this one was Michael Satrazemis.
Yeah, I'm ordinarily very, very excited and happy with the work that he does.
Oh my God, me too. Yeah. Me too. I mean that guy, he's like a heavy hitter director. I mean, like next to like Nicotero for the Walking Dead universe, he's like number 2.
Yeah.
He has 17 director credits for the main show. It's starting in like season 3 or 4. I mean, the dude's been there forever. I mean, literally, if you go look at it, it's like whenever he started, it was like directing like 4 or 5 episodes a season all the way through. And like he directed like The Grove, right? Which is possibly, certainly in like the discussion for like the best episodes of the main show. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean a bunch of other ones too. You just go look at it and you're like, he tends to get when Nicotero would be busy, he would get a lot of the season finales or premieres or mid-season finales and stuff like that too. So, but yeah, he did that, and then he's also directed, and this is scarier, he's directed 21 episodes of Fear.
Wow.
Holy crap, man. And some of them are actually okay. I think he started in season 4. Like, he started like the half season before the Knuckleheads showed up.
Yep.
So he got a couple of episodes in that first half of season 4, which was the last season that Madison, or half season that Madison was around, really, right? I mean, I know she's in the second part of season 4 in the flashbacky stuff, where they're fighting the vultures, and we don't know where is Madison, and we think they're looking for Madison, and then of course the big reveal is she's dead and all that stuff. But anyway, he did come in there, and so he's done 21 episodes of Fear. Most of them are bad because most of them are stinky Knucklehead productions. And then he also has 3. He's directed 3 of the Tales of the Walking Dead. So hopefully those are going to be much better than this garbage. So.
Yeah, I agree. I hope so.
Yeah,
well, at least I hope so. Right.
But again, I like him as a director. I think
yes.
he is, he started out, I want to say, as a cameraman on Walking Dead, and has worked his way up. He became a director of photography, and then he became a director, and then he's, obviously become a director they use a lot. And I think he's got some chops, and I think he's good at what he does. I think that there's only so much, chicken salad you can make out of this chicken poop. So it's not entirely his fault, but, he's the director, so some of this episode is his fault.
Yeah, it sure is. A whole lot of it, actually, is, yeah, sadly. I mean, he didn't write it, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's involved with what you saw, so, yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, that's our writer and director. So why don't you kick us off?
All right. So first thing I noticed too, I always take a peek at IMDb, mostly just to grab the episode description for the next upcoming episode. And I was there, and I was like, I've been pretty amazed that the episodes for this season have had as high of numbers of stars as they have. Like episode 1 is as high, it's 7.2 out of 10. And some of them are...
Is that episode 1 of the whole show, or just this season?
Just this season.
Okay.
And I know that there's a lot of times there's bots that go in and can adjust that and put in all the 10s they possibly can to bring those up. So, give it some, grain of salt, but, there's some 7s in there, but there are a lot that have sat at like 6, 6.5, 6, 6.5, 6, 6.5, 6, 6.5, just below 6, just below 6. Ophelia had 6.3, 6, 6, 6, 6. Amina is 3.8.
Woo!
3.8.
That's stinky.
Yeah, and I think that also says a lot about the usual people who are, say, like Alycia lovers, who would go on there, because she's got her cadre of fans too. She's, they go on there and boost, but the fact that she's gone would make them just go, oh, this is a 1. You know what I mean? So
well, it's that, or it's that it's like you said, there are ways to manipulate those numbers, and
sure.
So they have their system of putting in lots of 10s, but to get a 3.8, that means there's a lot of people that are voting 0s and 1s.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the ratio where like you said, when you look at the rest of this half season, it kind of ends up they're all like about 6. That's what you said, right? 6,
yeah.
A little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower, but right at 6. Now we're like just below a 4. So that tells you that there's a lot more low ratings than previously, because it's normally those 10s were pumping it up to a 6. Now they can only pump it up to a 3.8, which tells you it's caca.
Yeah, it is caca. So yeah, so the episode on IMDb, 3.8, that's the lowest one I've ever seen. And it's holding strong because it was 3.8 earlier when I checked in, and hours later it's still sitting there. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Well, I don't know what this means anything, but I went to watch the episode the second time, and yeah, that's right, people. Both of us watched this episode twice.
Yeah,
we are
masochists.
sick people. Yes, but I went today, and what I normally do is I'll watch it the first time on my TV, and nice big picture, and just kind of. I'll just kind of watch it. I don't really take too many notes. And then the second time, I watch it on my computer because I've got my notes open and I can freeze and jump over to my notes and type stuff, right? It's just easier. Mm-hmm. And this afternoon, I don't know what this means, but and it might just have been my computer was having a thing, but I went to AMC Plus, and any episode of Fear, not just this season, but any episode, if you tried to play it, it would start to load it, and then it would go to a screen saying, this screen cannot be downloaded right now. And I thought, wow, AMC has finally reached the point where they're so embarrassed about this show that they're not letting anyone watch it.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's probably
But then I had to watch. I went to my TV and it worked on my TV, so I don't know what it means. But that was an issue with my trying to watch it on AMCplus.com. So, anywho,
yeah,
it is what it is.
All right, so let's start out quickly with the cold open, which was a mishmash of crap centered around some interesting filmed scenes. So it starts off visually kind of interesting because it's people in their, at this point, they're wholly unnecessary, the nuclear fallout masks. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Why even wear them? So there's a bunch of people wearing the masks, and they're running, and there's like smoke and fog, but it's sort of like they put the clip up, they put the screen up full for like 2 seconds, and then it goes to black, and then it shows it again, and then goes to black, almost like someone's opening and closing their eyes. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out that that's what's happening because they rescued, and by they I mean, the gaggle of other people, they rescued Alycia from the tower and are bringing her back to the raft push-off area, the shoreline, because the big plan is to get in the rafts and get away because, and I hate to say it, but there's some actual logic being put to it. The tower is on fire, and the walkers are all around the tower, and it's all the ones that were, the irradiated ones that were in that crater. And June was saying, once they burn, they're going to release all of that into the air, and we don't want to be anywhere near it. And I'm like, logical nuclear waste concerns. How strange for this show.
Wait. Hold on. Are you telling me that these characters believe that if, you're in an area, let's just say, where, I don't know, a nuclear explosion had happened, that you would want to get away from that area because of the radiation fallout issues?
I mean, this is hypothetical. I'm not saying there was an actual nuclear fallout. I mean, I can't imagine there was one. They're certainly not acting like there was a nuclear fallout.
No, I mean, and as you said, there's grass and trees and all kinds of stuff growing. And I wanted to make sure because that's just a crazy idea of them like, well, let's just leave. Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's logic, and I just didn't understand it involved in this show. I was like, I don't know who you are anymore. But then, obviously, more illogical stuff comes in. Alycia starts seeing visions of the little girl again, and she's also getting. Meanwhile, she's having her, fever dream episodes, and they're now interspersed with like little cut shots of ghouls and everything. So she's having, whether they're visions, of her remembering stuff, or if she's having nightmares about becoming a ghoul. It's hard to tell, but, that's a plot device we've seen before where someone's not doing well and they start kind of like Jim in the original series.
Yes.
He started, as he was doing bad, he started seeing. So I'm not sure if they're doing it as like a fear thing or, like I was saying, like maybe she's remembering something else. So I'm not sure, but that's
I just kind of took it as hallucination. That
same.
she's like her fever is so high. I mean, she's got to be running like 130-degree fever, right? I mean, that girl is just sweating buckets at this point. And she's, her brain's cooking, and so she's, having those kind of fever dreams that you have when you do get sick like that, where, a lot of what you're seeing is not, like you'll see people, they're around you, but like what they're saying to you is, not necessarily what they're really saying to you. You know what I mean? All those kind of things. That's what I chalk this up to, that she is just kind of drifting in and out of consciousness. And the fact that, she's convinced herself that, the sickness is going to get her and she's going to die. And obviously she's going to turn into a ghoul. So that's kind of at the, in her working through her brain. So that's what she's seeing all around her. That's what I got anyway.
Yeah. Either way. And I saw the same thing. I to me, mostly it felt like she was just, having, like you said, hallucinations. And then there's also, speaking of hallucinations, there's a bird, and I'm going to go with it's a hallucination because a bird would not survive in this.
Oh, no. Yeah. Dead.
Yeah, it'd be dead in a hot second. So that's another hallucination, is this bird that comes in, and then, like I was saying, she sees the little girl again, which we saw in the previous episode. I can't remember which one it was, but there's a previous episode where it showed Alycia was having some visions and was dealing with her fever. Was it the first one?
It was episode 9 with the bagpipes guy.
Yes. I had emotionally blocked out the bagpipes portion, so I couldn't remember which episode it was. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right.
So that figure pops back up again, and Alycia decides, no, I have to. She thinks that it's some person who heard her broadcast about coming to the tower, so she's like, I have to save them. So she grabs some gear and starts going off after her. And to that, I'm wondering, the little girl, she follows her, and Alycia, nobody stops her. No. Nobody is like, oh, Alycia, you were sick just a moment ago. And off she goes. She's gone. Like,
that, I would, first of all, yes, that bothered me like you wouldn't believe. Particularly even with June, who, June's like a doctor, or like the closest thing they have to a doctor. Yeah. Don't you think she'd be like, Alycia, you're going to stay here and lie down because you're like on death's door. And if she tried to get up and leave, she like tells Daniel to like sit on her, right? I mean, don't you think they're like, you're not going anywhere. If we got to tie you up, we're going to tie you up. I mean, it just blew me away that all of these people that are her quote unquote family are just like, oh, hey, Alicia's wandering off again. Whatever. I mean, it was terrible. But I would go even further back than that. How did they get out of the tower? All of them?
Come on, Steve.
How did they get out of the tower and not lead some of the horde that was around the tower back like Morgan did in the previous episode?
I can't imagine. I can't believe you're trying to bring logic into this. Have you learned nothing?
Well, I mean, it's just so funny that, like, literally the knuckleheads are like, they wanted to tell their stupid story here, and this little pesky thing of, well, there's literally 1,000 now super irradiated ghouls around the tower. Wow, we're not going to let that stop us. They just, they don't even give us a reason. They just jump to the point where, no, they're out. Right? Because when the episode opens, they're out. And I could understand if it was like, the main cast is like 8 people, like they could kind of sneak away. But like, you're supposed to believe that like they got everybody out of the tower that was in there.
Yeah. Every person.
Yeah. And shh. We're going to sneak past the ghouls. Don't make any noise. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's just terrible. Anyway, continue.
I didn't even think about. I've gotten to that point where like little logical things that they skip over, like like that, because they jumped right to, we're running away from the tower, and they didn't show us how they got out. I'm just like, I don't really care.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't need that detail. That's fine. You're totally right, Fear the Walking Dead. I don't need that detail, and I'd actually prefer it if you don't tell it.
It's probably better that you don't tell me, because whatever bullshit reason you would come up for them getting out, I would laugh at and think was terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. All right. So what else do we have to talk about here? Okay. Oh yeah, the title card.
Mm-hmm.
Once that cold open was over. What did you think of the title card?
Again, just kind of more of the same. Nothing earth-shattering. I listened to the music and it sounded like it was back to the normal music. Did you notice the music was different again, or?
No, it was different.
Okay. So it shows you what I.
I mean, what I heard was different. But I watched it on the app. Mm-hmm. But then I watched it on the DVR as well, so I watched the broadcast version.
Are you sure that you weren't hearing Kate Bush when that happened?
I've been hearing Kate Bush in my head for 3 days now. For such good reasons. Good reasons.
Hey, you know what? That song is top of the charts after 37 years.
A friend of mine actually posted on Facebook, Justin, and he says, it took Stranger Things for you people to be fans of Kate Bush. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I just want to say, it didn't take Stranger Things for me to. I remember when she listened. Sorry, we're going off. Sorry, we're tangenting to an actual show that's good. Mm. When she listened to that song earlier, when they sort of laid the groundwork, I was like, Kate Bush. Mm-hmm. So it's not all gonna just be like synth pop 80s music, like fun stuff. They're gonna actually delve into the stuff that was like emotional and like the emo 80s songs.
That's
and,
right.
Yeah, and I was like, Kate Bush, that's such a nice choice and perfect for her and da 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 da. And then it figures prominently later.
It does indeed.
No spoilers. Anyway, so yeah.
Back to the crap.
Back to the crap. Okay. All right. So the title card.
Yeah. So it was little Alycia, and the tower was on fire on one side, and I think the MRAP was in there, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was like a tree in front of the tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. Now that I made my negative comment later on in my notes, I guess there was like some trees and some grass that was near the tower, which.
Oh yeah.
The logic of that I have no idea, but I'm wondering, is the tree that they're showing, is it just the tree that's randomly kind of near the tower, or are they using one of the trees from Alicia's past when she used to write on the trees? They are not that clever, so I don't think so, but I thought of that first.
Yeah, that I mean, my first thought when I saw the tree was that supposed to be like Teddy's people's tree? Because they had the tree symbol too.
They sure did. Yes.
But no, I go with your first instinct there that they're not that clever, and I think they just drew the tree in to kind of suggest that the tower is in one of these weird weather pattern areas where they never got the fallout, and so there still is a radius around the tower where stuff can grow. Supposedly, right. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of what I took out. Do we have to talk about this?
No, we don't. We don't. Move on. Okay. After I wrote like a bunch of stuff about the cold open, then I put the line about the title card. Then I put the opening visual, which here it is. It's the one of the like two things that I liked in the show. I actually liked when they came back from the title card, and at this point, Alycia is following younger her. She doesn't know it's her yet, but she'll get there. And it shows footsteps going through the fallout ash, and this ghoul that's sort of stuck under a shopping cart. And I thought that the whole composition of that scene was gorgeous. I thought it looked amazing.
Did it look familiar to you at all?
Yeah, we have totally seen that walker underneath the thing before. Absolutely. But it's still...
the way you were describing it, I'm like, is she blocked out the first half of the season already? I don't blame her.
I mean, I could have, but no, it did remind me of that other one.
Oh, it's the same one.
I was gonna say it's most likely, if not likely, the exact same one, but I was okay with it because it looked really cool.
Oh yeah, it did. It absolutely did. But yeah, I mean, you're supposed to believe that between the watery beach area where they're all loading the rafts and the tower is the submarine.
Yeah.
And when Alycia was following herself, basically, running back in the direction of the tower, they came upon the NRAP, and the MRAP was apparently left, with stuff still in it, it near the submarine, which of course did not survive like the tower area, and so it's all irradiated, desert, and that's where Morgan and Grace walked past that ghoul that had been melted to the shopping cart. So yeah, I mean it was definitely a neat little callback to the earlier first part of the season, but I agree. I mean, it looked amazing. The whole washed out yellow gold color and the way the ghoul was set up with how it looked like it was blowtorch melted and stuff. Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah. So that was something I actually really liked. And then after that, I just put in bold letters, the rest, however, ...
Mm-hmm.
And then not long after that was Alycia having some feverish moments, and she's by a little puddle, and she sees the reflection of herself as the ghoul. And I thought that was very interesting, too. What did you think about that?
Yeah, that was the highlight of the show for me. Was the highlight of the show for me in terms of things I liked. The only other thing that came close was the very last scene when Alicia's talking to herself, and kind of like, hey, I got a chance to go out and help people, or whatever she said. I don't really remember, but and this is cleaned up, healthy looking Alycia, and she smiles at the little girl, but we don't see that because the little girl's off camera, and all I can think of is that's Alycia Debnam-Carey going, this is the last forking shot of this terrible show, and I never have to do it again. I mean, that's what I was thinking. I mean, and she's like, I made it! What I mean?
I made it to the end!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was the last shot that they filmed, I'm sure. And the whole cast and crew was there, and they announced, that Alycia Debnam-Carey has completed all of her filming, and they all gave her a round of applause and all that stuff. So I'm sure that happened, and I'm sure that was her. I don't think that was in the script. I think that was her just being like, yeah, take that, you knuckleheads.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ghoul in the water, that was I like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And again, it's sophomoric and high schoolish, but it's certainly the knuckleheads trying to foreshadow that Alicia's gonna die.
Yeah.
I mean, that the whole, the first, 2 acts of this show, it's all Alycia is convinced that she literally has minutes left, and, at any second she could fall over and turn. So that just kind of goes that way. But it looked amazing.
It sure did. And then it really kind of went downhill from all of that. I think a good sign that those 2 moments that I listed that I enjoyed actually probably were pretty good, because I liked them in both viewings. And in fact, the one where she saw her face in the water, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then the second time I was like, that's actually kind of cool. Like, I'm surprised we haven't seen that used before. I came away from that moment thinking, I was like, wow, I'm really surprised we haven't seen them use that before in either show. And then I was kind of surprised, like, I can't believe that it's an interesting, cool kind of visual thing that these ding-dongs came up with.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's a Tetrazemus thing. I mean, that it probably was in the script. You're right, it probably was. But again, it's the very, very talented crew that are able to take their little musings here or there and turn it into something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess just sort of like an open dialogue about everything else that was terrible. So I already talked about the grass and the trees around the tower, which I guess I'd never really noticed before. But yeah, they're pretty obvious this time around. Mm-hmm. And then I know it's kind of jumping all around, but how is Josiah there?
I don't know.
Like, how did that happen?
Don't you get the sense that like there was a lot of stuff shot and edited out? That don't you think there had to be somewhere in there had to be a scene where Josiah said, "Yeah, I heard your message on the radio and thought I'd come on down." And it's the only thing I can think of, right? I mean, other than that, he just kind of magically appears.
He must have heard something, because he does do the 2 cents where he's like, because they're talking about her SOS or whatever that she called out, mm-hmm. and they're like, "Oh, you were the only one." She's like, "No, she called." They're like, "No, it was you." And he's like, "Yeah, I no." He said when he got there, she was by herself.
Yeah, he said when I got to the tower, you were by yourself. Yeah, because she's trying to convince everyone that the little girl's real, and they're all like, "Okay, Miss 112 fever, sure, she's real." You know.
Yeah, that seems absolutely. At least I'll give them this. Most shows where someone's having like hallucinations like that, most people are like, "I don't care what you say, she was real to me." At least they had Alycia be a little more logical, and she was like, "I know what this sounds like. I know that it sounds mm-hmm. nuts," but she felt like she was experiencing something that was real, and that this person was here and was helping her, and she just, she just can't prove it. Mm-hmm. All right, so Josiah's there for some crazy reason, and then she does make it inside the tower. She strangely goes all the way to the roof. She finds out her stupid thing is broken. She, upon hearing that the little girl's friend is Victor Strand, she's like, I'm gonna have to sit down for a minute, and she like does her whole like, I'm gonna fall down. I think mm-hmm. it's just, I wonder if it's just undiagnosed narcolepsy.
Could be.
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah, it could be that, she just, whenever she exerts herself, there's a really good chance she's just going to fall asleep. I could see that.
Yeah. As soon as it's like, oh, God, we're coming up to a really badly written part, I'm just going to go ahead and take a nap.
Yeah, I'm going to sit this one out, guys.
Call me when we're back into season 3 again. Thanks. Jesus. Yeah, so really the being back at the tower, which was ridiculous because they she goes to the tower, they start to try and take her back. To the shore, she goes back to the tower, she rescues Strand, she sends them all away, and then ends up having to call them back anyway. And she's like, I couldn't make it.
She sends them all away and they go because that's what you do when one of your like family members is on death's door and really needs your help. You're just like, yep, okay, bye.
You're like, listen, we want to honor her wishes, and her wishes are to pretty much kill herself, so we're just going to leave.
We're just going to let her do it. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I know. Yeah. If you think about it, Alycia goes to that freaking tower 3 times in this episode.
Yeah, she does.
And they let her go each time.
They're like, oh, I mean, I know that we're in danger and we need to get away really fast, but guys, can we just go back and get Alycia one more time?
One more time? Is it okay?
Yeah. I mean, it should be fine, right?
They kind of threw this lame reason like, oh, we have to go now because the tides are going out. And if we don't go now, it'll be super hard for us to row out to see when the tide's coming in and whatever. And so like that was kind of like that was the third time when she got to the MRAP and called and basically said, you remember when I said I didn't need you guys? Well, I do, because I can't go any further. And so, but that was the reason why they all had to leave, was that the tide was, they had it and they had to, go when it was going out. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, God. Just ridiculousness. So the utter ridiculousness of Strand while she's there.
Oh, God.
Drunk Strand, mind you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just awful. And I brought this up. I was talking about this with some other folks earlier. And I brought this up and I'm like, it didn't dawn on me until the second time I watched it, so damn it for watching it twice. But the scene where Alycia has the she's got the gun, and she's got it to her head, and she sees different visions, and oh my God, they actually showed Nick. I was like...
They did!
Remember? He used to exist?
Remember berries?
Yeah. So she gets all these visions. She's clearly on the verge of wanting to just end it. And then the bird interrupts everything, and then the bird needs to be saved. So she's like, God damn it, and takes the gun away from her head. And then it's like, when I was watching it the second time, I was like, where did Strand go during all this?
Oh, yeah,
and then when she
right
gets
there.
up to do the bird thing, he's laying right there.
Yeah.
So Strand, who's like, I couldn't help you because I couldn't help myself, and like all that bullshit, he's literally laying. He's within arm distance, and she's got a gun to her head, and he doesn't say a word.
He's like, no, Alycia, don't.
And he doesn't help her.
I know.
Yeah, if he could drunkenly, if they had drunkenly been like, Alycia, what are you doing? Like, if they'd had that in the background, that would have made more sense. But there was nothing, no sound, no nothing.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, that at least, at least he would, like, why didn't he at least say, like, who are you talking to? Because she, after the bird, interrupts her from killing herself, the little girl appears, and she has a conversation with the little girl. Next to the window, right?
And the little girl is the one that smashes the window.
Right, she smashes the window, right? And so I just kept waiting for Strand to be like, Alycia, who are you talking to? There's nobody here, because even if he's, 3 sheets to the wind, he could still see that she's just standing there talking to nobody.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we didn't even get that. We just kind of got him going, Alycia, where are you? And it's
Alycia. It's so terrible.
And interesting fact, Coleman Domingo was actually drunk when they shot that.
Interesting fact, I don't blame him.
Interesting fact, I think if you were drunk while watching the episode, you might have enjoyed it more.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, you wouldn't.
No, because then you get the Fear the Walking Dead hangover, where you're like, now I got to watch it again because I was drunk and I wasn't able to take appropriate notes.
That's true.
How will I ever have notes for the podcast? It's just...
Don't you hate that when those notes get in the way?
Stupid notes.
Stupid notes, I tell you.
And then just a couple of quotes that I heard that were when she saves the bird. She saves the fucking bird.
Yes, she
does. And she's like, maybe this is the last thing I was meant to do. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not supposed to save the bird. That's not what this is all about. Clearly, you're supposed to save Strand for some reason.
Right.
And then when she comes to grips with it and says, I need to save Strand, I'm like, she's got to save her enemy. And I'm like, what is this? Is she Darth Vader? Like,
yes.
What is this?
Padme, no!
Oh,
yeah.
my God,
I mean, yeah.
And they did do the whole, like, leave it open thing at the end, which, whatever. I don't even know. Like, do your storyline with Madison in season 8 and then just stick a fork in this damn show, would you?
Maybe AMC will cancel it after this season, after this episode coming up.
God, I don't know. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
What else do you have? What kind of notes do you have that we have?
Yeah. Well, just on the lines, there was a lot of ridiculous dialogue in this episode. But when she's back at the beach for the third time, and she's in the raft, right?
It's like, okay, third time. So she went there, she came back. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, the very end. Yes.
So she's back, and Strand's, she brought Strand back with her. You kind of get this sequence where it's, literally she's like, it's the end of The Wizard of Oz, where she looks at Dwight and goes, and I'm going to miss you most of all, Dwight. Right? I mean, you get that. All the characters come up and they all get their sort of hug goodbye, nice knowing you scene, right?
Yep.
Daniel, you know what? Actually, I think I'm jumping ahead. This is before that. This is when they're taking her back from the tower, and then she wakes up, and then she's like, I have to go back. And so they're like, we don't have time for this, but Daniel stands up and goes, I'm going to go with you. And he says, Alycia helped me see things more clearly. Because he talks about, when I was messed up with thinking Ophelia was still alive. And when he said that line, I literally yelled at my TV, what? When? When did she do that? Where? She never did that. Did she? Do you remember her doing that?
I don't know what is it about? Like, what is that saying?
Yeah, and there was any of the episodes where Daniel was going woo about Ophelia, Alycia was never around.
Yeah.
So when exactly did he help her see things more clearly? I mean, or she helped him see things more clearly. I mean, yeah, it
makes no sense.
It makes no sense, yeah. But anyway, so then that was one thing, and then like I said, you get that weird kind of, Wizard of Oz ending where all the characters come up, and Charlie, right? Charlie, who is like literally on death's door from all this radiation, and people, don't kid yourself, that kid's not going to die. Her miracle cure is coming from the knuckleheads, okay?
Oh, yeah.
But she wanders over to Alycia, and she talks about, hey, we finally got to see the beach and blah blah blah. I swear to God, people, I really thought she was gonna look. Well, she looked at Alycia and she says, "I'm sorry," and then she said I couldn't be there for you or something. I really thought she was gonna say, "I'm sorry, I killed your brother."
Yeah.
I'm like, really? You guys are going to just throw all the stops out so then Alycia can give her absolution and be like, it's okay. It was just so utterly ridiculous. The way they kind of almost all of them kind of got their little nice knowing you, Alycia moment. And again, the plan as far as they all know is that she's going to be in that raft.
Yeah.
Right? Why are they all saying goodbye to her like they're never going to see her again?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, does it?
Yeah. No. And then, the scene where I literally almost turned off the show was the scene in the raft with Strand and her, where he comes in and he's like, I'll be in the raft with you. And he puts all of his junk in there and gets in, and then she immediately gets out of the raft and grabs all her stuff. And so he's sitting in the raft and she's on the shore, and she's like, you have to go. And then he's like, I can't go. And then she's like, you have to go. And he's like, I can't go. It was so high school drama bad.
Oh, it was terrible.
And again, these are good actors.
Right.
These are people that, could make this scene really work if, they were, motivated and involved.
Yep.
And, I just really got the sense that they're just this is day 6 of the 7-day shoot, and we have this scene and one more scene tomorrow. Let's just power through it.
Yeah. It's the only way.
Yeah. It was so utterly ridiculously stupid. As far as the ending goes, made up, good-looking Alycia, good. But the whole ending of that show right there, that is just to me, that is just all the evidence you need that the two knuckleheads just they should not be writing the show, because it proves one thing. First of all, it proves they don't understand the universe they're writing in.
No.
In that, unless your name is Rick Grimes, nobody gets a happy ending. Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Right? No, nobody. And again, we don't really know about Rick Grimes yet because the movies haven't come out yet. But as you well know, he don't make it in the comics.
Yeah. No.
So even he has a bad ending in the comic books, right? So this is a world where nobody rides off into the sunset. Nobody. And yet, what do they do with their character? They let her ride off into the sunset.
Yep.
And then then the second thing is it just proves that these guys they are way too squeamish. And literally, there are two guys, and there's not one cojones among them at all.
Yes.
That it's guys, she's leaving the show. Kill the character.
Yeah.
All right? And you can make it be a heroic death. I don't care. I would have been quite happy to have that sequence happen where she wakes up on the beach and she's feeling fine and looks great, and then she gets up and she starts walking towards the tower, and then she walks past a little puddle of water, and we see in the reflection, it's Ghoul Alycia. Wouldn't that have been cool?
Yeah, and wouldn't it have been interesting if they had Ghoul Alycia walking away and the reflection was old Alycia?
Old Alycia, either way, right? I mean, just one with that would have been the reveal where she wakes up and now she like, man, I feel really good. I feel healthy and vibrant and I could keep going forever. And then you see, well, that's because you're dead. You know, I mean, so many things. But yeah, it just shows you that they are just, when it comes to the main characters, the only way they will ever kill any of them is if the actor's like, yeah, guys, I'm done. And then, like in this case, maybe. It's just they are super, super squeamish when it comes to that. It's almost like, you know, they came from Once Upon a Time, I think was the show that they wrote a lot for.
Yes.
Right, which was on ABC, and it was the fairy tales and all that stuff. And it's almost like they brought like that kind of network sensibility with them of, you know, well, main characters, they don't die.
Yeah.
You know, they don't. What are you talking about? They're main characters. You don't kill them.
Yeah,
and it's So I kind of knew when they did the whole Alycia got bit and she cut off her arm and then she still has the fever and all that, which happened, way back in the, the end of the first half of the season, right?
Yeah.
Is when we got that reveal. I think the episode was called Padre, where we find, the whole first half of the last season, Alycia wasn't in it, right? And finally she showed up. But as soon as they saw that, I just looked at it. I'm like, well, clearly ADC's leaving the show.
Yeah,
and that going into this season, I'm sure she had one season left on her contract, and they said, hey, do you want to extend? Do you want to come back? And she probably was like, no, I'm good. 7 years is enough. Yeah, I'm going to move on, do my own thing. And so they knew she was leaving, so they started to kind of prep the work. So I was totally expecting her to leave, and I will miss watching her on this show, as bad as it is. But, she already has another show. She's an actor. She's going to get work. I will see her again. So I'm confident of that. So anyway, I was just looking forward to how are they going to write her out. Right. And, the way they were going with the fever and the flu and everything is still there, I really thought, okay, they're actually going to kill her, which for these two guys, that would be something different.
Bold, even.
Yeah, almost, you could say. And for them to just, again, and I hate to get a little blue, but for them to pussy out like this.
Yeah.
Which, again, remember last season or season before with Grace. Right? Whole season, Grace is dead girl walking, oh my God, all the radiation at the plant, no chance in hell she's going to survive. Hey, look at that, she's still alive.
Right.
And then even with Alycia back then, right, when she gets the irradiated walker blood in her mouth and bathed in it when she's killing all those ghouls, with the Look at the Flower Kids hangout. Whatever happened to the Look at the Flower Kids, huh?
Yeah.
Do we have any idea where those kids went at all?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Nope.
It's like the Knuckleheads have this big closet in their writing room where all the characters are, and they just will pull one out, like the rabbi, or like Josiah, and we'll see them for an episode, and then they throw them back in the closet, and you don't see them for 9 weeks. You know what I mean? It's just, but anyway, we thought, is Alycia gonna die? Is she? She might have got a fatal dose of radiation. No, she's absolutely fine. Nothing to worry about. And so they just kind of continued. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised that they saved her, but it just it was it was just bad.
Yeah.
Just bad. I mean,
just bad all around.
It was. I mean, it was. It was.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the other day. I was in the bath, shall we say, and I thought, this effed up storyline of everyone wants to get in the tower. Everyone wants to get in the tower. We got to get into the tower when they're in the nuclear wasteland, right? And all of us are like, why? Why would you want it? Why don't you just leave, right? Why don't you just pack up all your stuff and go somewhere where, it's not a nuclear wasteland? And so I thought, what would if they would have hired me as the showrunner for this season, okay, and I couldn't retroactively change anything that happened at the end of last season, what would you guys think of this storyline? Okay, so we go to 701, all right? Mm-hmm. And 701 is the whole gang, survivors from the thing. They're like, all right, well, okay, this place is now a nuclear wasteland. We're leaving, okay? So they then spend a couple episodes gathering all of their gear, fuel, cars, whatever, so they can get the hell out of Dodge, okay?
Right.
Well, at the same time, Strand is building up his super fortress tower thing, and of course is obsessing about, well, Alycia, I have to prove to her I am, whatever it was he was trying to prove, I don't even remember. And so he learns that they're leaving. And so then the season then, like episode 3 or 4, they actually leave. They get in their little caravan and off they go.
Yeah.
And then Strand, of course, that just don't sit well with Strand because he's got to prove to Alycia whatever it is he wanted to prove to Alycia. And again, I really can't remember and I don't care. So he and all of his rangers and Howard, they pack up all their junk and they go after them. And so now we have every week, kind of like The Fugitive, kind of like the Incredible Hulk show, kind of like Battlestar Galactica from years and years ago. Every week, our group of heroes come to a new place. There are survivors there. They're dealing with the ghouls. They get involved and embroiled with what's going on there. And with this specter of, Strand is right behind you and he's going to show up, so you got to keep moving. And that would be the whole season until you get to the finale when they finally have their confrontation. Does that sound like it'd be a better season than what we got?
Anything that you said would have been better than the season that we got. It doesn't even. I mean, yes, it does. I think you're trying too hard. You just the minimal amount of effort would make anything better.
Anything better?
Yeah.
It's really sad that these guys are just being allowed to just the executive producers on this show, Gail Ann Hurd and Scott M. Gimple, and of course Greg Nicotero, who we kind of give a pass to because Greg Nicotero is doing Creepshow and is not really devoting a lot of time to the show. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I can't believe that those people are like getting the story ideas and the arcs for the season, and they're like, yeah, this is really good. You guys go ahead and do that. I mean, don't you think they're just like, whatever, just do the show.
Yeah.
Don't go over budget. We don't care. I mean, it just blows me away that they're just like, sure, this is you guys. Yeah, you're doing good.
Yeah, it's good. That they get the thumbs up is the thing that drives me crazy.
I did notice, by the way, there was another Facebook post from the AMC site about Fear, and it literally was about this episode, and it was where should our survivors go now that the tower is been destroyed or on fire or whatever. And I didn't read all the comments like I did before. I kind of read just like the first 20, and I would say that like 18 of them were ripping the show. There were actually a couple of people that like put, well, maybe they could go here, or what I mean. They're actually throwing suggestions like they're enjoying this. But one comment caught my eye because literally the person wrote, hopefully they'll go somewhere where the writing is better.
Yes. Uh-huh. That sounds about right.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's really all that I had on there. I mean, the episode didn't make a lot of sense, and the ending was terrible. And I'm sad that Alycia Debnam-Carey is leaving the show, but I'm happy for her that she is free.
Yes, I am very happy that she's free. And I want to learn more about this new show that she's going to be on, and I hope that it looks interesting, and I hope that I'm able to watch it and support her.
Yeah,
because that'd be great.
I believe it's on Hulu. Was that what I read? And it's supposed to come out. I think it's supposed to come out either late this year, or like spring of next year. I don't. Again, I mean, all the stuff we're watching now obviously was filmed months and months and months ago. So who knows? What the she could already be filming the new show for all I know. For all we know.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
I do think, though, the last thing I would say is I do think it was in a season full of mistakes, I think one of the bigger mistakes they made was not giving the fans a scene where Alycia meets Madison again. Yep. Even if it's at the very end and she dies, which is kind of what I thought they were going to do.
Yes.
I think that was a big slap in the face with to the audience of like, hey, the one person who would want to see Madison again out of all of these people, well, she's gonna leave the episode before she comes back. It's like, really?
Yeah. I've already seen some comments from folks that feel like, Madison is the reason that they sort of hung on to sort of stick it out and stuck with the show as bad as it got. Mm-hmm. And that's what they were looking forward to, was at least even just like one moment between the two of them so that they could know that the other had survived.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't get it, there's some people I've seen that are really pissed.
Yeah.
Really pissed.
You can see like Alicia's like just about like gonna die. Right, the fever's gonna overtake her, and she doesn't got much left. Madison trudges up and holds her hand, strokes her head, wipes the sweat off of her brow, and everything's okay. You've done your part. You can rest now. And then Alycia, I love you, Mom, and she dies. That would have been lovely, right?
Yeah.
But no, we didn't even get that.
Yeah, I agree.
And the scenes for next week, it looks like Madison's in it a lot. It's not what we were kind of predicting of, the very last shot is her going, hi! So it's not like they didn't have her around, for more than like 10 seconds worth of film.
Yeah, and they couldn't just wait like 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
And have Alycia see her for like 5 minutes, and yeah. I don't know. Anyway, anything else that we need to discuss before we take a quick break?
No, I would love to discuss Better Call Saul or Stranger Things or Obi-Wan Kenobi, but fat chance of the show.
That's not what we're here for.
I know, it really isn't. It really isn't. So no, I think this, the good news, people, is there's only one more week.
Yeah, one more. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to discuss some of the listener feedback that we got this week, and we're going to talk about what's coming up next on the podcast.
So stick around. We'll be right back.
The following is an emergency action message. Civil authorities have identified a biological threat that they deem credible. This threat could potentially affect the entire continental United States.
The dead are returning to life and attacking the living.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a man up bad and he's attacking another man. Looks like he's biting him, like on the arm.
The initial signs are puzzling, unclear.
Getting pulled out of their cars and thrown to the ground. It looks like the bus passengers are biting their victims.
Soon, however, the reality is clear and undeniable.
The crisis involving the recently dead continues. Parliament today passed a law that requires all bodies of the recently deceased to be registered and turned
Toxic
over.
Bag Productions has captured the sounds of the zombie apocalypse and brought them to your gaming table. Background ambiences, zombie attacks, and radio transmissions that set the scene for your modern zombie adventure. Download MP3s from drivethrurpg.com or toxicbag.com.
Hi, I'm Ross Marquand, and you're listening to the Aim for the Head podcast with Diana and Steve. And remember, always aim for the head, because body shots just don't work.
Oh, Ross, take me away. Just like your Calgon. You younger listeners, you won't get it. Hey, everybody, we're back. We're going to go ahead and jump right into some listener feedback right off the bat. And Steve, you're up first, so go ahead and take it away.
Oh, I see what you did there. You said you're up first, and we are going to the international desk. So well played, you.
I tried.
That's Diana 1, England 0.
Right.
All right, so our first bit of feedback, and this is for last week's episode 714, Divine Providence. And this comes from our fan and listener in the UK, Bev2. Hello, Bev.
Hey, Bev.
And she posted this via the Facebook. And she starts out by saying, "Why?" in all caps. which, again, I think you could have ended right there, Bev, and we would have been like, yep, good feedback.
Yeah, we get it.
But she does go on to say, why does everyone want to live in that tower? Why is Strand bringing a load of radiation zombies to his tower? Why make a phone call announcing you're about to invade the tower? So many more whys. And you're right. It's mind-boggling, the decisions these people make. She goes on to say, Strand is possibly the most intelligent character in the entire Walking Dead universe, so it goes against his character to fall for Alicia's lies. Mm-hmm. The only character that acted how we expect is Daniel. His scene with Charlie was really touching, and if they hadn't wasted so much time on tedious episodes about nothing, then maybe we might have gotten more of that. Why doesn't anyone in this series get upset when their friends die? I'm not even going to talk about Wes. I will say it was a well-paced and had the odd good scene, and if you knew nothing about these characters, then you might even say it was good. But we do know them, and it wasn't good. Why?
Bev, I thank you for writing in, Bev.
Oh, yes.
And I think I can honestly say we literally feel your pain. We do.
Ugh.
We get it.
We do. Again, it's just the Divine Providence episode, all the stuff about the group, what you didn't add, like, why does all the rest of her group stand outside for like 14 hours while she's traipsing around the tower with Strand before they finally decide to do something? There's so many plot holes and just logic holes where you're like, I don't know about you, but would you just stand out on that reviewing stand all day if you were them?
No.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think you're spot on there, and you're right. If they hadn't wasted so many time on tedious episodes like the Butterfly one and all those terrible stories, we could have gotten more of those moments like the Daniel and Charlie moment, which Diana, you've pointed out many times, that's the one thing that the Knuckleheads have shown their ability to kind of be able to do.
Yeah, and those two-person scenes, the two-handers.
Two-person talkie scenes where, it's usually some emotional baggage is being lifted. Yeah, they can do that. They can do that, I hate to give praise here, but they can kind of do that, right? The first Al and Isabella episode, if you take out the climbing up the side of the mountain sequences, it's literally the two of them sitting there talking to each other. And it was pretty good, probably in the Knuckleheads' reign, that's probably the best episode they've done. At least that's what I think. Wouldn't you think it would be up there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just such a shame because we know that they can do some good episodes here and there have been some in the past. It sucks because they're just no longer, nothing is happening that's even remotely close to the way it was before.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bev, you're not wrong. Spot on, and I thought the beginning there was very funny. So excellent feedback. Thank you so much for writing in.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bev. Next up, we've got Alex. Hey, Alex, how are you doing?
Hello, Alex.
Alex wrote in a nice long email to us, which I think is great, because he wanted to give us some ideas on how the Madison thing could have happened better. And I'm all for ideas, so let's do it. So Alex writes into us, and this was for this week's episode, the Amina episode. It says, Diana and Steve, OMG, I could not believe what I saw in this episode. To see everyone back and the monster is so scary. Wait. Hold on, I forgot. Is this the Stranger Things feedback? No. Oh, I only write about a show that doesn't make sense. Okay, first, I need a Strand-yo in my life right now. Also, for the whiny Morgan or Modal, not so much, unless it comes with case of cheese to go with all that wine. Nice. Before I watched this week's episode, I was thinking, how could Madison come back to make the fans so pumped up that they would want to watch this Texas-sized tornado of a dumpster fire? I've come up with the answer, although Madison bending over with the flames out of her butt is really not a possibility. On most shows, it still would be a contender, but that will not happen since they couldn't make that make sense. Ready? Okay. They're going to end like the Season 2 Mandalorian ending. Spoilers if you haven't seen that, so spoilers. When all is lost, zombies everywhere around our group, however many there are now. From the top of the hill, there is a cloaked figure. Dramatic music starts playing. Then all of a sudden, this figure pulls out their lightsaber and starts going to town on the zombies, also using the Force to crush them, push them away from our group as they avoid certain death. She gets halfway through, then the kids from seasons past run up behind her. But they're all adults and now fighting the wall of zombies with special nuclear fallout masks on to save the day. Alycia dies in Madison's arms. I'm just spitballing here. Better than this crap. By the way, do the people that graded on a curve when we rate this show, asking for a friend. After watching this hour, I can't get back, after watching this hour that I can't get back, but we all know, Steve was a little like a schoolboy since it was all about Alycia. Well, we had more Madison than most of the characters this whole season. Now they have had those boats the whole time and never used them until now. I know.
Right?
I was going to bring that up, but I forgot that Alex was, he had that point made too as well. So they're just using them now, WTF. Also, we could not shut the rabbi up this episode with the one-liners, which I think was maybe 2 or 3 lines. Real question, where are the kids? They just abandoned them. Should we call social services? It was nice to see Strand and Alycia acting together. Now, I did not pay attention that well, but who the heck in the random zombie nuclear apocalypse was that random black guy that just showed up? Something good. The flashback zombie scenes were really scary and were effective. The ones where she was seeing the images, I think he means there. So, P.S., I do use the term knuckleheads all the time now, and did use it for the other podcast rant, which I couldn't remember. I thought he did when we were ranting together. P.S.S., as good as my theory is about Madison, the coming attraction for the season finale had one cool, creepy scene that I can't wait to see. And I'm not sure what that is, but I guess we'll find out about it next week.
You know what? I just gonna guess. I would think it's when Morgan comes upon the beach and he pulls the bag off, and you see the guy buried up to his neck, but he's now a ghoul, and he has all the crabs that are chewing at his face. Because it's like a little nod to the original Creepshow movie.
Oh yeah.
If you remember when Leslie Nielsen buries Ted Danson up to his neck and then lets him drown as the tide comes in, that kind of thing. So yeah, that was it. Alex, amazing feedback. And we will talk to the Knucklehead Laboratories and see if we can get a Strandio sent over to you. Yeah. Just because you are our P1 listener, I think you deserve one. And I'm sorry though, but the whiny Morgan Preachy doll does come free. There's no way to not get that. So
yeah.
But as long as you have it set on Walking Dead as opposed to Fear the Walking Dead, he's actually much more tolerable. So.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. Ay, ay, ay. All right. So thanks again for writing in, Alex. We always appreciate your point of view.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So moving along, we got another piece of feedback, and this was via the Facebook, and this is from our pal Phil Parrish. How you doing, Phil?
Hey, Phil.
And I think this you posted the picture, and it was like the last scene of Alycia when she was all cleaned up.
Yep.
And looked really nice. And his comment was, to the photo was, "So all Alycia needed was a nap."
Yes, absolutely. Clearly, she needed a nap. And I mean, yes. She got all glowed up, and she had like lip gloss and everything.
She was. I mean, yeah, hair looked good, and yeah.
Yeah, everything looked amazing, as it should. Mm-hmm. So next up on the podcast, we're going to be discussing Fear the Walking Dead episode 16, the finale. Yay! It's over! Just one more. So episode 16, title of the episode is Gone. Oh, gone, baby, gone. And this is the description we've gotten from AMC. Morgan finds a new ally who turns out to be more trouble than he bargained for. Oh, Madison. That sneaky Madison.
Wait, we don't know that for sure. Maybe it's somebody else.
No, I think it's Madison.
It is.
And when I watched it the second time, I didn't get clips at the end. There's a sneak peek. Did you see it?
Really?
Yeah.
No, when I watched it today on AMC Plus, it just had the scenes for next week, the same clips that I saw when I watched it on Friday night.
Yeah, I could have sworn I saw clips when I watched it on AMC Plus, but when I watched the version that taped on my DVR...
Oh, that was actually broadcast?
The broadcast one, there was a sneak peek scene at the end. So hopefully everybody's seen it, but it's the Madison Reveal, so it shows, Morgan meeting Madison. It was an interesting scene, so there's not a whole lot of details. There's, of course, another group, which, of course, they're trying to take Mo away from him, and he ends up being, thrown in a ditch and being covered with, a cloth, and while
I think they're going to bury him in the sand all those other people that he found. At least that's what I get from just the clips. But,
but they haven't started. They started doing a little bit of the sand, but then right away, before they get anywhere, you hear a gun and a bunch of people, slump down, and they had put a piece of cloth over his head. He pulls the cloth off, and he can see that all the guys are down on the ground, and over where Baby Mo was, there's someone with their back to him, and he's basically I'm not with them, and if I can just have my baby and whatever, and the person turns, and it's Madison, of course, and she says that the baby's better off with her, and he'll get over it because she did, and obviously that's a dig to the fact that she thinks her kids are gone, and
right.
One of them is, but the other one we're not so sure about, so who knows?
Oh, she's gone.
Oh, yeah.
She's on another show.
Yeah. Obviously it's gonna be Morgan Madison heavy. And
the clips, they show he suspends the raft between a couple of trees at night so they can sleep, and a ghoul is down below trying to get at him, and he's talking on the walkie about, I don't know how much longer we can go, and all. So clearly he is, gone ashore, right? He's not just drifting out in the ocean somewhere or in the Gulf of Mexico. But again, where he is and what he's doing and why the other people aren't there yet, we don't know.
Yeah, it's unclear. We do know that for next week, we have a Talking Dead episode, so we can commiserate with others. I haven't seen anything just yet on who the guests are going to be, but I would assume at least one or two of the knuckleheads, and then I wonder if they'll have Alycia Debnam-Carey, but they'll I don't know, but they'll probably at least have Lenny James and Kim Dickens, I would assume.
My guess would be, like you said, one of the knuckleheads, either Ian Knucklehead or Andrew Knucklehead, and then on the set will be either Alycia Debnam-Carey or Kim Dickens, and then probably on a satellite hookup will be Lenny James.
Yeah,
because he's probably back in England, trying to forget this nightmare. And whereas the other two are, I don't know, ADC's obviously Australian, so maybe she would be on a hookup too, but Kim Dickens is, she's from around these parts, so she'd probably be the one who would be there, but who knows? Who knows what they're going to do?
Yeah, hard to say. But yes, there is a Talking Dead next week, so make sure that your DVR is set appropriately.
I just want to hear how is Chris Hardwick going to talk about how amazing this season was.
Yes.
Oh my God, this season was just so great, and I think we should all watch and are we buying it, or is he acting, or is he just going to be like, so the season's over, let's talk about it?
Oh my God, I'm curious about that myself, because he's always been good at. Not necessarily a cheerleader, but he does the try to find something positive to do, and he, something positive that he wants, that he likes about each episode or whatever. So I'm curious to see what he unearths about these episodes, to be honest.
Well, he's clearly got his script from AMC. This is a party line show, so he's never going to be like, wow, this was a mess. He's always going to be like, this was great. Congratulations on another amazing season. I mean, that's, he's going to use those words. I would be real curious to see how many of those are his words versus the words that the network want him to say.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, because he, generally speaking, like I said, he's always been very positive. Of course, he's a network guy, and he knows which side of the bread is buttered for him.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, no, he didn't get a choice. I'm sure the softball questions he's going to throw at the knuckleheads are not necessarily what the fans want to know, but it's what AMC has said. This is what you're going to ask him.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, so that's coming up on the podcast next week. And interestingly enough, we still haven't gotten a release date yet for the anthology series, the Tales of the Walking Dead. So whatever it is that they decide to do, I wonder if we'll get that during the Talking Dead, because they'll usually do that kind of an announcement, or have some kind of an announcement during Talking Dead, because they know they've got a good portion of the audience sort of gathered. I did see online, one of the blogging sites said that they heard through the grapevine that the most obvious place, that the place they're expecting it to start is in August. And I'm curious about that, because I was wondering if they would go along with the same sort of ad cycle as Better Call Saul. And when Better Call Saul comes back on, July 11th, they come back, they only run for 6 weeks, and then that would give them time to sort of run right along with Better Call Saul and, get the same positive ad space from each other. And then once it ends, it would have time for Better Call Saul to have its own sort of finale on its own, because it's only 6 weeks of the anthology. And then there would be time in between, and then you get into the fall, and that's when the final 8 episodes of Walking Dead are supposed to happen. And like I said, we've only know fall. So that's what I was initially thinking, but then I plotted everything out on the calendar. All of the shows that I know are going to be happening between now and then, like the ones I'm interested in, mostly. But Better Call Saul is interesting, because when it ends on August the 13th. And the word on the street is October for Walking Dead. Now, follow this. If you do that, and you follow, Better Call Saul ends on the 15th. So if you did, the anthology series starting that Sunday after Better Call Saul is over, you do 2 things. 6 weeks from there, from August 21st, puts you right to October 1st. So if they did 6 weeks starting August 21st, the very next Sunday after they finished would be October 1st, and could be the main series. I also just noticed something interesting, which is Westworld, which starts in June, their last episode is June 14th. And typically, Walking Dead universe has tried to avoid the Sunday night HBO Megatron.
Yeah, right.
Which is going to be hard, because the week after is the starts the House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones. So
oh no.
Yeah, so
will there be dice?
Yeah, there won't be any dice, not in this one. So I don't know. Either I think it makes sense for them to wait until Better Call Saul is over, do the 6 weeks that lead up to October the 1st, and then October the 1st starts the show, and they do their final 8, and they finish in 2022. I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. But again, I for some reason I still have this weird feeling that they're going to stretch the main show into next year somehow.
You think?
I just do. I don't know why I have that feeling, but it's just like, yeah, they're gonna, it'll be like March of 2023 when the series finale finally hits. Hopefully not, but I just, for whatever reason, I just have that feeling. But I think you're, with all the ratings obstacles that you just mentioned, to like things to try and avoid.
Yeah.
What you said makes a lot of sense, but again, we'll see. I mean, explain Fear then. Right.
Yeah, well, Fear, they know they're not going to win that ratings war anyway, so they ran it. They just hoped. I think they ran it the same time as Better Call Saul, maybe hoping to get a little bit of rub
carryover
off from them, So, which I don't know why that would happen, but I mean, the anthology series, maybe I could see that running along with it. My thing is that I don't see, if this ends on the 5th, I don't see them doing 1, 2, 3, 4. It would overlap with Better Call Saul if it started as soon as Fear the Walking Dead is over, is the thing. So that's the thing I think is least likely. I think it's least likely that when Fear the Walking Dead ends on June 5th, that the anthology series will start like the week after. It doesn't make sense. Not to me.
Again, right. I agree with you. I agree.
So, anyway, it's all conjecture at this point. The thing that I think is interesting is that we haven't had a date said to us just yet. So I certainly hope that that's one positive things that we'll get from Talking Dead next week. So we'll see. And I just wanted to throw out there, I know we've talked about it leading up to this glorious Memorial Day weekend, but I have not made it to Obi-Wan yet, but I did watch all of Stranger Things, and I know you did too. So I'm already patiently awaiting for the next portion, which will drop on July the 1st.
Yeah. As much as I enjoyed Stranger Things, and it was definitely a binge thing for me for 2 days, and I was done. I had this weird thought of, if AMC had dropped the Fear season like this all at once, I'm not sure I would have watched all of them.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't have to do the podcast about them type, what I mean? If there wasn't like, we have to watch it because we're going to talk about it. If it was just me as a fan, I think I would have gotten through the Butterfly episode and been like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. I give everybody else credit for sticking with it to try and get the Madison stuff answered and all that other stuff, because I give you guys credit. We have to do it, so we figure it out and we make it happen. But if I did not have to watch this show, I'm really not sure I would at all.
Yeah,
I might read all the Wikipedia recaps or the episode recaps, and if something sounded interesting, maybe I'd go back and watch that episode. But
that would have been my way of doing it. I would not go back to it until I see other people outside of AMC talking about it's worth going back to.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go watch that episode and see. But yeah, it's a sad situation.
Yeah, terrible.
But Stranger Things, really good. Obi-Wan, I did watch the first 2 they dropped. Really good. So yeah, it's there's lots of good television out there, people. So
yeah, I just took everything that I'm interested in for the summer and plotted it out on my calendar. I don't think that I would miss anything, but it's just sort of realize and understand, because some stuff I can't tell from the way it's advertised. I didn't watch it when it was on before, but The Boys only has a premiere date, and it doesn't.
Right.
Do they all drop on one day?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Well, that's how Amazon has done the last 2 seasons.
Okay, because I watched them after they had already shown, so I didn't know how the premiere thing went. Okay, so that's coming up quick. That's next Friday. So obviously that's what I'll be binging next weekend.
Nice.
sometime between now and Friday, I'll have to watch those Obi-Wan episodes.
Yeah. Well, and a new one's coming out. Like, I don't know. Was it Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday. So
okay.
I've got between now and Wednesday to watch the 2, and then I'll watch the 3rd one on Wednesday. Then on Friday will be The Boys. I have the weekend to binge the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then I've got nothing else for the rest of June for TV until Westworld comes back at the end of the... So I totally have time to watch Stranger Things at least one more time. Maybe
there
2.
You go.
Maybe 2. We'll see. There'll be one weekend where I won't be able to do too much binging because I'll be busy in Monroeville, Pennsylvania.
Yay!
Going to the Living
Yes,
Dead
it's coming up. Road trip. Aim for the head road trip.
I know! It's going to be so exciting. And by road trip, I mean we're taking a plane. We're not driving a car.
That's right.
Because that's ridiculous.
That's right. but we're taking the show on the road, people.
We are. The road is on the show. The show is on the road.
Road.
However you want to say it.
Yep.
We're super excited. We've told you about the convention. We don't want to bore you with more details. The next time we're going to bore you with details is when we're going to talk about all of the details from the actual convention.
Yes. Yes.
And we're super excited to do that. So, yay! So, hooray. Mm-hmm. Anything else, news-wise or whatever, that we need to discuss before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I got a couple things. There is a show on Netflix called Love, Death, and Robots.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's an anthology, and it's kind of Twilight Zone-y-ish. The thing is, it's all animated.
Okay.
But it's not like Toy Story animation or even like an old Disney movie animation. It's like video game animation.
Oh, nice.
Like a cutscene in a video game.
Yeah.
And it's been around for a couple seasons. This is season 3. And if you go and watch episode 3.8, which is entitled In Vaulted Halls Entombed.
Okay.
It's an amazing story. It's based on H.P. Lovecraft, so I really, really dug it. But one of the actors that is in it is Christian Serratos.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, and I'm listening to the voice and stuff, and I'm like, that sounds just like Rosita. And so I get to the end, and I look at the credits, I'm like, it was Rosita. So, yeah, she plays like an American soldier. She's part of this squad in Afghanistan, and they are trailing these insurgents that have kidnapped someone. I don't know if it's an American or someone that's friendly to America, but they're trying to get that person back. And the insurgents go into this huge cave complex, and so then when the squad goes in, it's what they discover inside, and it's gory, awesome, cool. So definitely check it out. It's like 20 minutes long. It's not it's a short little view if you're interested. And again, that's on Netflix.
Yep.
And then the other thing is on Shudder, which if you get AMC Plus, you do have access to Shudder, which first of all has Creepshow, which is a great show, and you should definitely watch it. It's amazing. But there is a movie that is on Shudder right now. It's called The Sadness, and it's a Taiwanese movie from 2021, so just last year. And I have seen a lot of violent movies in my time, and I am very hard pressed to come up with a movie that's more violent than this movie.
Oh wow!
It's I don't want to say it's a zombie movie, but it's like a 28 Days Later movie.
Okay.
So that you have this apocalyptic event, but it's like a virus that affects people, and they don't die, but they become like homicidal maniac type people, So similar to 28 Days Later, except that this time around they're not just like the mindless, run at you full speed and try and kill you. They can talk, and they're clever, and they plan, and they laugh, and they do. If they use like 20 gallons of blood on this movie, that's like a low number. I can't even describe. You just got to watch it. If you love those kind of movies, this is freaking unbelievable, some of the stuff that they do, because the virus, like, it turns off all of your inhibitors in your mind. Like, so when, you know, all of us have that random, you know, sort of, hey, I want to just go stab that guy in the face vibe because he was mean to me. But then, of course, you know, all those little voices in your head go, you can't do that. That's wrong. All those get turned off. So when you go, I'm going to go stab that guy in the face, you do. Okay?
Yeah.
And so it's like all the sadistic, torturous things you can imagine people could do to someone else, they do in this movie. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So it's on Shudder, which is on AMC Plus, and yeah, it's you got to watch with subtitles because it's Taiwanese, but it is something else, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean it's yeah.
Something.
I'd heard about it. I heard another podcast talk about it, and they talked about a scene that happens on the subway in it, and the guy that was reviewing it was like, I know him, and loves horror movies, loves the graphic violence, and he was like, yeah, this is too much even for me. And I'm like, okay, something is too much for that dude. I got to see this. And I watched it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is too much for me. So yeah, it is something else.
I'll have to try it out then.
Give it a spin. See if you can dance to it.
I love a good dance number. Anything else we need to discuss?
No, I don't think so. Just, you know, again, we got one more week to go, and then just like everyone else, I'm really curious as to what is next for Walking Dead schedule-wise.
Yeah, exactly. And as soon as we know, we will let you know. I'm sure we'll be about 24 hours behind telling you when the internet tells you, but, you know, maybe you come to us for news. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But thanks again for listening in again this week, guys. We've got one more week to go with this crap, and we're so glad that you've chosen to listen to us through this, and we're glad that you're enjoying yourselves. So until next week, as always, I'm Diana.
And I'm crazy. No, I'm Steve.
And don't forget to always aim for the head, folks.
Because body shots just don't work. To send us an email, write us at aimfortheheadpodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @AFTH Podcast. Pictures and video are always welcome at our Instagram account, Aim for the Head Podcast, all one word. But the best way to keep in touch with us is to just like our Facebook page to get all of our updates in your feed. Just imagine if this show was as good as that show. How great it would be.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Yeah, there's only one left, though, so that's good, right? Right?
Well, hey, we got a whole new season. Oh, they haven't announced it yet, but assuming they do, there's a whole season coming up of crappy.